So these are some futuristic ideas I have to make the classroom more accessible using technology. And the nice thing about all these ideas I'm presenting right now is that you can install them in all of the existing classrooms without taking them down. They all ranging from various different costs. Though, so the first one is the one that's a bit on the pricier side, and that is there's these new cameras with ultra-wide lenses, so they can see almost over 180 degrees and make a pretty good image. So like half of a circle, they can see over a bit of that. Then they have it on both sides, so they can see basically almost a sphere. There's a little bit of blind spot just around the whole object. Now these cameras cost anywhere from $100 to $2,000 to $1,000 to $2,000, so it can be very expensive to not that expensive. Mostly they're around a couple $100, but the technology is coming way down in price. And most of the cost is that it's so rare of an item, and it has to do with the software, which I would all expect to dramatically decrease. Now, if you have a couple of these cameras placed in the room, there's this thing that you can pretend that you're anywhere in the room. And now they pretend that you're anywhere in the room, and if you have it overhanging, it's attached to the ceiling somehow, well, that means that people can very easily attend a classroom that no one's there. And that way they can also see the board and everything very well. And they also, with all these cameras, different positions, they can zoom in and stuff. And zooming in could give benefits to many people. It could help people with difficult seeing. It could also help people with the markers are not the best or faint. It could help people that get overwhelmed with everything on the board, just zoom into the right portion of the board. It could mean they could fit more on the same board details. You could also just on your own computer maybe remove distractions and stuff like that. So that it has all these wonderful uses and potential beyond what we're saying. Right now, I would estimate this would cost probably without a couple $100 for a classroom if you want to do a bulk thing. Now, if you make a bulk deal with a manufacturer, much less. If you develop this technology in-house, the software and stuff, pennies, but that's really beyond the capability of most people. If the software ever becomes open source, its installation will probably cost under $50, honestly, because cameras are pretty cheap nowadays and getting cheaper. And also, if this becomes a mass-produced thing, a lot cheaper. This also might actually encourage larger classrooms, because then you can have more people in class. Well, next one is probably one of the cheapest thing is, and that's just a lot of classrooms do not have enough plugs for all people using modern-day computers and stuff, which might be, and electronics are more likely to be used by disabled people. Or the electronics might be useful to make a classroom more accessible, like installing cameras and stuff. Connecting multi-plugs are actually a lot safer than people realize if they're a good multi-plug with good circuit breakers and everything. They're not easily overwhelmed. The problem with multi-plugs is that they might cause stuff for people to be tripped over and stuff like that. So you would have to have a secure attachment to the wall and stuff, so it's always on the wall, and so people do not, I would say, trip over it or something in the phrase. But that is really the biggest problem with this whole idea, is the tripping aspect, which I've already said, but they're easily taken care of right there. The next idea is to have a protector of some sort, and this protector of some sort would then be used to protect people's answers onto the board if they're remote. They can also be used to protect when so they can write on their computer screen and just protects it without someone else having to write this stuff. It can also be used for a variety of other things, for more interactions with computers and stuff in the classroom. And it can be used to notify teachers when a student wants to answer something if they're not physically in their desks. or moving around. And all this also makes also it easy for kids that are not disabled to do stuff outside life, like maybe they have a job or something and can't attend their classroom physically. Or maybe they're just sick for a couple of days and don't want to get everyone else sick. The thing about projectors is compared to all these other ideas is they do use a lot more energy. So it might be sometimes worthwhile to have a projector since it's an easier installation, but it might be worthwhile to have a smart screen. Now, what will be interesting is can you make a smart screen that you can also write on with a pen and marker and it doesn't get damaged? Then you could have really the best of both worlds. And I don't know if they're going to invent that. Now, most smart screens still use less energy than a projector, but they still use a substantial amount of energy. The way around that may be to use something like e-ink or something which does not refresh as high rates or as dramatic contrast and color, but can use no energy. Once it gets an image on it, it doesn't use any energy. So maybe you could make an e-ink display with one of these things. It would not be good for playing movies though. Or you could have a combination technology where you have all these displays and stuff set up, but that will cost a lot more money. The next little idea out there is to have something with a quieter climate control. And I mean by quieter ACs and stuff because temperature really does affect some people's health. But oftentimes the noise can be quite a distraction. So this is installing new air conditionings and stuff that are quieter, and they can also save significant amount of energy. So it's a good idea in general. And then just other ways, better insulation, you name it. Another idea I have is what I'm going to call downwards cooling. But that is where you put stuff to cool the whole place at the top. And it can be fans or something that blow downwards. That can be more quiet because you're blowing over a larger area. It can also increase circulation of air with convective currents in some ways that increase cooling. But it also pushes germs and everything actually downwards so they settle more easily. So sneeze doesn't go as far and stay as long in the air. So it actually does help prevent the circulation of diseases. Another big thing I'm going to say is no carpet, because carpet is harder to clean on. It's not bad worst traction for many mobility aids. It is also gets dirty much more easily. So that's a problem for people with asthma, breathing difficulties, allergies and stuff. And it's not as nice for janitorial staff. So just no carpet. Another thing to think about is maybe just the amount of chairs in a certain place. If we don't have enough chairs, we'll have a scramble. If there's too little chairs, also people might have, everyone just has one chair and they may not have the chair they chose. But too many chairs can also have a problem, even if it doesn't fit in for a disabled person. So a disabled person might have trouble navigating room more hard. They also might have certain types of anxiety and stuff. They might like to be spaced out more. And just also getting into a chair might be harder because of dyspraxia or other issues with motor coordination. You might want a wider area between the chairs. Also, having a lot of chairs might also make them just feel impacted more. So having the right amount of chairs could actually really help with per classroom. And maybe if you look up how many people can be using classroom, you can change the amount of chairs or have chairs foldable so they can be put away. So there's not too many chairs out. Just some quick ideas there. Another one is to have chairs and desks made better for people of all sizes, including people that are very fat or so they have trouble with a traditional sized chair, just getting in and out. And the same with the desks. So that some of these chairs have built-in desks which seem fine nice, but if you have a large enough stomach, the desk gets in the way of the stomach. So one idea maybe is to even have the desk and chair as separate things, and this could also help people with maybe going in and out issues because they can have the desk come to them and just how far away, or wheelchair users. One idea might be also to have desks and chairs that you can wheel around more easily, then have a brake at top so you can hold them down. then they can be stable. So if you have mobility issues, you just wheel. You sit down and you just wheel everything to your location, and you lock it in place. The final thing I want to talk about is maybe designing doors that are better in that they're not as heavy, they're more soundproof, so there's less distraction, and they also don't squeak as much when they open in and out. They can lock better. Soundproofing doors is a little more complicated, it sounds like, because you don't want it to prevent all sounds coming in case of emergency. So there are ways of actually making soundproof material that's fancy, that only lets sound in, that after it reaches a certain loudness, then it lets in actually more passively. Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any ideas for future videos, comments, or suggestions or questions, please leave in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.